For those West Ham fans that were there yesterday but will not be going to the Conference League final or the Leicester game, they went to the London Stadium expecting that to be the last ever time they'll see Declan Rice in a West Ham shirt, and it possibly may be the case. But there's a little part of me, I'm just not 100% sure he does actually leave West Ham this summer. But because we're all sort of expecting it, you overanalyse everything, and that's fine, there's not a problem with that. We're West Ham fans, we're Declan Rice fans as well. I think you can be both, because Rice can leave, but you can still want to see him go and do well, obviously depending which club he joins. But let's just say he went to a club of your choice, you'd want him to go do well. So you can be a fan of the player as well as the club that he's playing for. And I think that is applicable with Declan Rice for the majority of us, because he's such a likeable person, a world-class footballer, but he's a world-class character off the pitch as well, a real ambassador for the club. So all this footage comes out. You can see him after he scores his goal, his post-match interview with Jared Bowen. There's a lap of honour on his own, him clapping fans as he goes down to the dugout one final time. Then he puts up his picture of his celebration on his Instagram with a bit of a teasing caption as well. The fans saying one more year Declan Rice, and the way he looks like he's either scratching his head or tapping his head to say that he's thinking. We're overthinking it, but that's okay. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's normal. When you're so emotionally invested in something, which we all are with Declan Rice, it just takes the smallest thing to trigger a thought process, and that's what's happening yesterday. And I am guilty of it as well. Everything that have come out, I'm looking at thinking, is he going? Is he? And there's a part of me that says he's definitely going, but I think it's almost preparing for the worst case scenario. I'm prepared for Declan Rice leaving this summer, and I actually am. But there's a little bit of me tapping my head or scratching my head, however you want to look at what Declan Rice did. There's a little bit of me doing that thinking, I'm still not 100% convinced Declan Rice will not be at West Ham next summer. Because to sum up my guess as to where Declan Rice is, and that's all it is, it's just a prediction, it's all we can do at this point. I think Declan Rice would be happy to move to one of his chosen clubs. I don't think he'd go to any. So all these clubs that are rumoured to be interested in him, I'm not sure he's interested in all of those clubs. But I think he'd be happy to get his move to one of those that he wants to join. But at the same time, I think he'd be okay giving us another year. If no club comes in and meets the valuation of West Ham, and he's here for another year, I think Declan Rice would be happy with that. Yesterday, over the last few days, because of his celebrations in the changing room and stuff like that, I've seen people say, oh, all those people that said Declan Rice didn't care. I actually never seen anybody say that. I saw, there might have been one or two, but I put them into the troll category more than anything. But I've never really seen anybody suggest that Declan Rice doesn't care about West Ham. It's possible to love West Ham, care a lot about West Ham, give everything to the club, but also want to leave at the same time. And I think that is just what Declan Rice is. And it's not because it's not necessarily that he wants to leave because he doesn't like West Ham. It's because he wants to win trophies, which West Ham can't achieve. He realises, we realise this. And I think that's why when he does go, he's going to go with a lot of fans' blessing as well, because he's given everything for the shirt while he's been here. And he's going on because he's ambitious and because he's world class in the club, haven't been able to match what he wants to achieve in football. And I've always said I've got no problem at all with players wanting to leave West Ham in order to go and win trophies. No problem whatsoever. When it comes down to money, it's a bit frustrating. I'm not too keen on that aspect of it. I accept it happens in football, but it's a bit frustrating. But when it comes to winning trophies, it doesn't bother me. Because for Declan to get a move to a Man City or whichever club is on the up and up at the time, Arsenal at this present time, next season it'll be somebody else. It might be Liverpool maybe back up there because they won't have Champions League football, probably. And those clubs come along, it's like, right, now we're going to go. Newcastle will be that team in 2 or 3 years' time that continue their progress, where clubs will look at Newcastle and say, I want to go there. But to get that move, they've got to play at the highest level. And if West Ham have got the contract situation sewn up well, their valuation is going to be really, really high. We're going to usually make a large profit on that player. No problem with that type of business whatsoever. But in regards to Declan Rice, the reason I'm not convinced, it's not necessarily because of all the captions and stuff like that, although I do think he's a little bit of a tease. I do. But I just take that as almost like an indicator that he's happy to stay here next season if no club comes in for him. Now, obviously, there's this hypothetical questions from us all at the minute. What would it take for Declan to give us one more year? What would it take? Is it winning the Conference League? Europa League football next season? Would he stay and try and win that? I almost can't convince myself that that would be enough. I don't think anything would. I think the only reason Declan Rice stays at West Ham next year is no club meets the valuation of West Ham. And actually Sullivan has a bit of cojones about him and sticks to his valuation. Now publicly it's 120 million. I'm sure privately there will be a different valuation, an acceptable price. What that is, 90 million, 100 million, I'd imagine it's in that ballpark as to what West Ham will accept. But I think it depends on Sullivan holding out for that. Let's just say 100 million. It all depends on Sullivan holding out for that. If Arsenal come in with 85 million, are we going to reject it and say, no, do one? We'll keep him for another year. Because next summer, we'll still get 85 million. I believe that anyway. Do we lose the power of negotiations next summer? Of course we do. But if Declan Rice is going cheap in relation to his talent next summer, there'll be more than one club after him. There'll be a bidding war next year. I actually think West Ham are in quite a good position going into this summer in regards to negotiating about Declan Rice. There's a lot of clubs interested in him. A lot of clubs could do with him. We've discussed it last week, but just to rattle through it quickly, Man City could do with him, Arsenal could definitely do with him, Man United could do with him. That's enough. You only need those three clubs to require him. There's a Chelsea thing as well, but they're a little bit of a mess at the minute. But the other three especially could all do with Declan Rice. He would walk into any team in this country, in my opinion. He would get into their starting 11. Would Arsenal won the title with him? I don't want to say that. It's a difficult thing to suggest, but tell you what, they would have done better with him. Since Saliba was out, you could have went into centre-back sorted. That midfield has been poor in the last few games. Xhaka and Partey, or Xhaka and Jorginho, it's not been good enough. Rice would have made a difference to Arsenal. But where does he go then? That's the big question, really. And that's what I think it comes down to. I don't think winning the Conference League keeps him here. I think if we win it, he just goes out a legend of West Ham United. He goes out as a trophy-winning captain, and he can go with his held high regardless of what happens in Prague. But to do it, for your last ever game for West Ham, to lift a trophy as a captain, and just 24 years of age as well, by the way, coming through the academy. You know, yesterday it was 6 years since he made his debut. 6 years from then to now. Wow. Fantastic progress. But to go out winning the trophy for the first time in over 40 years for the club, what a way to go. But I don't think that keeps him here. I don't think he wins that and thinks, do you know what, I'm going to give West Ham more. I don't think that's the scenario. He's played in the Europa League. He's done it. Has he won the competition? No. But there's no guarantees we win that competition next year. We won't be one of the favourites. There'll be bigger clubs and more sort of like Sevilla probably be in there. I don't even want Sevilla could be in the bottom half table for I know doing this. I'm sure they might be in there. But my point is Declan Rice has played Europa League football. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to play Champions League. So I don't think winning the Conference League keeps him here. I think the only thing that keeps Declan Rice here is no club meeting his valuation. And also I wouldn't be surprised there's an element of Declan a bit uncertain where to go because he wants trophies. There's only one club that guarantees Declan Rice trophies, and that's Manchester City. It's the only club. The other ones, Man U, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, let's throw them into the mix. They don't guarantee silverware. There's not. He might actually be better off waiting another year just to see what Chelsea do. Do they get Pochettino? What do they do with the players they brought in? Are they going to ship them all out and get more in? Is there going to be stability? What is Todd Bowley going to be like longer term as a chairman, as an owner of Chelsea? There's a lot of questions with that football club at the minute. Another year and you'd get a better valuation of Chelsea and the direction they're going in. Same with Arsenal. Had a really good chance to win the title this year. Now City are a different animal. But there is an element of bottling it about Arsenal, and I don't want to get into it. Let's just use that phrase very, very loosely. Let's just say Arsenal threw the title away. They had it in their hands. They haven't won it. They've thrown it away. Can they do it next year, though? Can they still be title contenders with Champions League football also? They didn't have that this year. They were able to play. They were able to rest their big stars in the Europa League group stages. They're not going to do that in the Champions League. They've got to field their first 11. If anything, the rotation at the start of the season is going to come in the Premier League, which is not something they did this season. So there's question marks about Arsenal now. So what are they going to do next year? But the difference is they feel like a club on the up and up, that they will win something at some point in the next 2 or 3 seasons. But that something could be the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. That's not enough for Declan. Declan wants Premier League title. That's what he wants. That's what we believe he wants. There's no guarantee he gets to Arsenal. He might be better off, again, giving Arsenal another year, saying, well, I'm going to wait and see how you get on, actually, and then I might come to you. Man United, they've got the manager, but, again, are they guaranteed? No. They will win trophies. That's a prediction, though. There's no guarantee, but they will win more trophies under Ten Hag. But again, he might be better off waiting to see what Man U do. Are they going to go get Harry Kane? Are they going to go get a other striker that's good enough to play for Man U? I think there's a case for Declan Rice to stay another year at West Ham and wait and see what the rest of these clubs do. Because there's only one club guaranteed trophies for him, and that's Man City. And I'm not wearing this t-shirt because of it, by the way. It's just an unfortunate coincidence, or a happy one if you're a City fan. City is the only club Declan Rice can go to knowing he will achieve his dreams. Any other club, it's a gamble. How big a gamble is up to you. It depends on what you think of those clubs individually. But there's a risk element, and there's absolutely no guarantee he wins that Premier League. None. City is the only one that gives him it. And if they don't come in for him, Declan Rice either has to take a punt as to which one he wants to go to. And that's assuming they all bid. There is a possibility. There's a scenario that Arsenal are the only club that bid for Declan Rice this summer. And that doesn't meet West Ham's valuation and you can't go. But let's just say Arsenal had a bid accepted. Declan's choice is Arsenal or stay at West Ham and hope that Man City come in for him in a year's time. I expect him to go. I'm ready for it. I've got no hope, by the way. I think that's the difference. I've got no hope. I'm not getting them up because then I'll just be more upset when Declan Rice leaves. I'm expecting him to go this summer. I've accepted it. I'm not really ready for it, but fine, right? It's happening. But I just, even though I say I expect it, I'm lying a little bit. I don't. There's a bit of me that just thinks we might just have one more year out of Declan Rice, and I hope we do. But like I said, if he goes, I get it. I completely get it. We've had warnings for a long, long time that this has always been his plans for the last 3 years or something. Every summer I'm like, this is the one he goes, this is the one he goes, and he's still here. We've had longer out of him than I ever expected, truth be told. I thought he was going to be gone last summer, but here we are. But because I thought that and he stayed, I'm like, maybe again. But I look at the clubs, like I said, I'm just looking at the clubs now thinking, there's only one where he knows he can achieve his ambitions, and it's possibly the right time. If City do want him, with Gundogan likely to leave and Calvin Phillips possibly leaving, there is a space for Declan Rice in that team. But do they want him? Will they pay the big money for him? Well, we know they will, but only if they want him. So yeah, anyway, there's my ramble about Declan Rice. It could be his last ever game at the London Stadium, and if it was, what a way to sign off. What a way. Get a goal, have a really good game, just remind everybody how good you are. But if he does go out, let's hope he does it. But the last ever thing he does in a West Ham United shirt is to lift the trophy in Prague. That feels romantic. That feels like a nice romantic way for him to leave. But I don't think it comes down to winning the Conference League. I think it comes down to two things. Who actually wants Declan Rice? And perhaps more importantly, in something that makes me a little bit more nervous, can David Sullivan handle the negotiations? Can Sullivan hold out for the price that he actually wants? Because while I don't like Sullivan, I criticise him a lot, and I think we hold on to players for too long. We're not really good at selling players. We don't tend to lose our best players either under David Sullivan, in fairness to him. Usually because they go from the best player to someone that we don't really need and they leave that way. But you just don't know, do you? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Give me your Declan Rice prediction, your expectation if you like. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it, subscribe for YouTube, and I will catch up with you tonight over on the main channel. I'll see you then.